What's going on, fellas? Tackle Junkie 81 here, and today BassGeek is going to show you guys how to fish deep crankbaits for offshore bass. Be sure to check out my channel after the video.
That's right, you heard Tackle Junkie correct. We're going to continue the ledge series, and this time we're going to talk about really what's one of my favorite baits in the world to throw, and that's the big, deep diving crankbaits. Guys, I like to throw these even more than I like to throw a swim bait. I'll be honest with you. I get more bites on swim baits because I fish a lot of clear water, but I love to cover water and get those reaction bites on these massive, massive baits because generally they're massive, massive bass. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Tackle Junkie. Thanks for doing that intro for me. Hey, make sure you go and subscribe to Tackle Junkie if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I know most of you guys probably already know who Tackle Junkie is. He's one of the OG fishing YouTubers out there. If you didn't know, he has been doing this for several years. Tackle Junkie, not calling you old, but you know, you've been doing this for a minute. And he's somebody that I look up to with a lot of advice of helping me get my channel together and up and running. Anyway, so let's jump right into the crankbaits. And guys, when I'm talking about big crankbaits, I'm talking about nothing below an 8XD. Now guys, I'm going to tell you I'm not sponsored by any of these crankbait companies. They're the two that I like to use. I go back and forth between the two all the time. Now there are some other crankbaits that I'll throw in, the DT20s, sometimes the 6XDs when I'm a little shallower. Those are great. And what I'm about to tell you really applies to any of those crankbaits that you're fishing, no matter how deep it may be. Now, on my lakes, generally, if you're fishing out deep, you're hitting those 25, 35, 45 foot marks during the summertime. Now, but generally, I'm going to throw these when they're out there in that 20 to 25 foot depth range during the summertime. And my two go-tos really are Profound Outdoors and the Strike King XD series. They're really the only two really deep divers. Once I start hitting that 20 plus mark, there's, like I said, there's a couple others when I'm right in that 17, 15 to almost 20 that I'll throw. But once I get up into that 20 plus mark, these are the two that I use all the time. So let's start off talking about colors and kind of how I progress with colors as we go through the summer. I'll tell you, right at the first of summer, pre-spawn, right when those fish move out there deep, most of the time, I'm going to throw something bright. Chartreuse blue back, one of my favorites, right here. These things, when they first get out there, they haven't seen a crankbait, not this size of a crankbait. These things are going to load your boat. You're just going to go out there and just power these down deep, and you are going to get bit. But as the summer goes on, in most lakes, most years, water tends to get clearer and clearer as we get closer to the fall. So these colors are great early, but they tend to fade as we get into the middle or late summer. At that point, it's really when I'm going to start going to my really natural shad colors. You know, this is a great little color here. It's actually a custom paint job by Razor. Really love that color. And then you can see here, this is just the standard silver white side from Profound. And these are the colors that I'm going to start to really throw as we get into that, you know, middle of the summer. And then from there, we're even going to get more natural. As the water continues to clear up, we're really going to go with stuff like this. So this is probably one of my favorite colors on earth. This is Tennessee Shad, and I mean, this is one of my favorite colors. I don't care what crankbait or hard bait you use. Actually, one of my favorite topwaters is a heading, and it's kind of a transparent one knocker that looks like this. It's not called a Tennessee shad. I don't remember what they call it. It's a real weird name, but it looks a lot like this. And you can see this is actually real close to that. And sometimes what I'll even do, you'll see they actually put a little bit of a red neck down here, but I actually take a marker or a paint stick and make that even more so it stands out a little better. Guys, again, it's just two different types of crankbaits. They got two different sounds. Finally, I'll even actually go to some of the very natural later in the year. And then as the water really clears up, I'm going to go to maybe even some translucents depending on the lake that I'm fishing. You know, that's a great color, mid to late summer right there by Profound. Very translucent, very natural. That tends to be the progression. So when you get out there and you're throwing those bright colors early in the summer and you're just laying the lead to them and that bite goes away, don't necessarily put down that crankbait. Begin to move toward your more natural colors, and you may be able to extend that crankbait bite later into the season. Hey, BassGeek here, and I want to interrupt this previously recorded video with another previously recorded video. Guys, I have teamed up with your Lake Fork guide, Billy Lawson, Z-Dub, Mr. Zach Watts, and the Fish Life team. Guys, Fish Life is an app that you can get on your phone, whether it be iPhone, Android, whatever smart device out there you have, there's an app for it that you can download. What's great is you can also get it. There is also a web app for Fish Life. Now, what is Fish Life? Guys, you want to know the types of areas, some of the waypoints that I fish, these baits that you're seeing me talk about in this video, well, then the Fish Life app is for you. Guys, what I'm doing teaming up with Fish Life and the guys from Fish Life is we want to help you learn the areas that you can find and catch fish. Especially, like I said, with the baits that I'm talking about in this particular video. Now, what sets Fish Life apart from any other app is that every 60 days, those waypoints time out. That means they're gone. So every 60 days, whatever season it is, you're going to get the latest and greatest. You're not going to get stale, old, you know, who knows when and what season those waypoints from those other apps have been added. You're going to get the latest and greatest spots so that you know what, when, where, and why, even how you should be fishing. So you can take these places and turn them into a pattern on your local lakes. So if you want to see the types of areas that I target with the baits that I show you in my how-tos, go out and subscribe to the Southeast community on Fish Life. So make sure you go check out Fish Life, the Fish Life app. Make sure you go check out your Lake Fork guide, Mr. Billy Lawson. Z-Dub's got a fishing channel coming real soon. We're going to share that out to you once he gets it up and gets it running. And so now I return you to your previously recorded video. All right, so let's talk about rod, reel, and line setup. Now, for the smaller, the ones that are going to run up to about 20 feet deep, maybe 21, this is what I'm going to go to. So for the 8XDs, this is a Lew's BB1, and it's paired with a Lew's custom speed stick. This is their cranking stick. So it has a great tip. It can cast baits a mile. If I remember correct, this is their deep diving crank. It is a 7'10". And that's one of the things that when you're out there fishing those ledges or you're out there fishing those deep humps and points, you want to absolutely make sure that you can get the longest cast out there as possible, because the longer cast you're going to get, the quicker it's going to get to the bottom making contact, and the longer it's going to stay down there, bouncing off the stumps and rocks and anything else that's down there to have it deflect off of. And that's the big key. You want it deflecting off of the bottom. Rocks, stumps, whatever is down there, you want it bouncing off of that stuff. Now, my big rod, this is actually this is a 711. This is a Creature by SixGill. So I've had this rod for a long time. They're real durable. I believe this is a heavy fast action. It may be a heavy, let me look at it here real quick. It's actually a medium heavy fast action. Reel speed, and I forgot to mention this about this one, generally for the real deep rods, or the real deep reels, I like to stay in that 5, but actually this is a 6.5, and so is this. So I'm moving up a little bit faster this year, and I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to wear you out, but I want to really get those reaction baits or reaction strikes when I'm throwing these crankbaits. Get them down there fast, crank them a little quick. You can always slow down just a little bit and just really bounce them in to anything on the bottom and get those reaction bites from those bass. And that's really what a crankbait does. Now, as far as line, generally I'm going to throw 12-pound on both of these. So 12-pound test fluorocarbon. I don't throw braid on them. I want this line to help me get down there even deeper because I'm trying to get these baits as deep as possible. As a matter of fact, some people may say I'm crazy, but I've actually thrown 10XDs on 8-pound test. I would not recommend doing that. You need a little bit of practice, and you really have to fight those fish and really have to retie a whole lot. So 12-pound test is where I would absolutely start at. Maybe even move up to 15-pound test depending on how deep you're going. You can shave off 2 to 3 feet by moving up from that 12 to 15-pound test. All right, guys, let me go show you how to cast one of these behemoths. What we've got here is we've got a point that comes down and it drops off into a creek channel. So we've got a little ledge that runs out here at about 20 feet deep. We're going to try and hit that ledge at about that 18 to 20 foot deep. All right, guys, let's talk about how we cast these massive baits. Now, you really want to make sure you educate your thumb because you want to make the longest cast you can, which means you're going to have to make this reel as free as it possibly can be, which means you're going to have to use your thumb to get the best cast out. Now, casting the baits, it's kind of the same way of casting a big swim bait. So a big hard swim bait, you're going to lob it a little bit, but guys, you know me, I kind of whip everything. But you know, you want a nice lob as far as you can get out there, and then as soon as it hits the water, you're going to start cranking it down. Now, it hit the water, we're going to start cranking it down. There we are, we're on bottom. One of the things I can tell you, now it doesn't look like I'm reeling real fast, but this is actually a 6:5 gear ratio. And what that means is that it is moving a lot faster than your 5s. Now, I like to use a stop and go. I like to kind of hit that bottom, really grind, and then, you know, stop for just a second. Let it float up, dig it back in. And really the 2 retrieves that I use most often is just a burn, 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 and that stop and go. So we're going to get it out there as far as we can get it. This time we're going to burn, burn, burn. And really, that right there is what it is. You just turn the reel handle as quick as you can. Now, one of the things that I will tell you, I tend to stick my rod tip in the water. Now, you can adjust the depth if you're throwing this bait a little more shallow. You can hold the rod tip up just a little bit to keep it from, you know, really just dredging bottom up. And I'll tell you, pump that bait as it comes up. As soon as you feel it starting to come up, a lot of times you'll get hits right at the boat from followers. But that's pretty much it. It's a crankbait. Crank that sucker. Now, one of the things you want to do as far as deep cranking goes, guys, when you're picking a bait, you're going to want to make sure that you're picking a bait that dives maybe a couple feet, 2 to 3 feet deeper than the area you're going to be fishing. You want this bait digging bottom and bouncing off and moving. Now, points are a great place, but don't just throw up on top of the point and work it down. If you go down a point and you see some fish hanging on the side, get over against the point, cast from shallow to deep, cast from deep to shallow, fish in that strike zone. So if you see those fish on your graph sitting there in about 20, 25 feet off the side of that point, line up on the side of that point and throw these bad boys, and you will straight up slay them, I promise. Same things go with humps. Sometimes you're going to work the top and come off. Sometimes you're going to work around the perimeter at a certain depth level. Ledges are the same way. Sometimes you're going to work from top off. Sometimes you're going to work from deep up, and sometimes you're just going to parallel that ledge. So try it from a couple of different directions. Just remember, current is always king, so that's going to position the fish every single time and dictate which way you fish. You want to be cranking with current, throwing up current and coming down. Like I said, guys, it's deep cranking at its best. If you've got any questions about it, make sure you put them in the description below. I'll answer anything. Rod, reel, line setup, everything that I use is always in the description below. So make sure you check it out with links. As always, questions, comments in the comment section below. You guys know I love to talk about fishing with you. I love to answer your questions. I love to talk to you guys. Love to interact with the Bass Geek Nation. And guys, we are closing in extremely fast on 36,000. That's nuts. Never would have dreamed that in 100 years. I know you guys are just probably puking to hear me say that, but it really is the truth. It's incredible. Like I said at the end of this video, make sure you go check out Tackle Junkie 81. He's a good friend of the channel. If you haven't subscribed to him, make sure you subscribe to him. And like I always say yet again, don't forget to subscribe. Like it if you like it. I know this is all out of order. Ring that bell so you get the notifications when these videos come out. And you guys rock.